Hey Money Magnet, welcome to my YouTube channel. Over here I'm going to explain to you about what's going on in the stock market, specifically with the ticker symbol of SPY and a few others. And right now we're looking at the daily chart, and as you can see, we have this big gap up. It's when it opens much higher than the previous day's close. You can see we have this big gap up. We also have this trend line that I have here. Now we're looking at this candle's high, right? June 11th. This is June 11th high, and the pivot high for that candle is about around 605. So I connected this trend line to this other pivot high right here on June 16th. That's Tupac's birthday. Happy birthday. So you can see that we have one touch, and then we got the second touch of the trend line. But we also had a third touch today. Can you see where it is? It's right here. Today's low. Third touch of this trend line happened today. Not a rejection as a resistance, but actually a bounce as a support. Now, how did I trade it today? I saw that we had a gap up. Now, this is based on this trend line. I consider this a breakaway gap. Breakaway gap is like when there's a structure, like there's a trend line like this, and then we gap above it. It's like a breakout, but it comes in the form of a gap up. So this is called a breakaway gap. And from there, the way I approached today was I watched the levels. I come up with these pivot levels using, these are called Fibonacci levels. And the way I got these Fibonacci levels was I connected from this candle right here, May 19th high, and I brung it down to May 23rd's low. So if I give you an example, this is Fibonacci. So I started from that candle's high and I bring it down to that candle's low, and I get these Fibonacci levels. You understand? So it gave me these fib extension levels that I got right here. And I was watching these levels, and in the morning it was consolidating a little bit. If you look at the 15-minute time frame, you can see the intraday action during the day. In the middle of the day, the action was right here where it started, 9:30. We can see it was just consolidating below my 605 level. I do run a Discord where I try to help people throughout the day to identify trade setups. And I wrote here in my Discord at 10:26 a.m. So far today, no setup has been triggered. SPY is basing just below the 605 level. Just means it's consolidating, building a chop range, if you will. Just below my 605 level, which could be setting up for a breakout. If it clears 606.5 and 608 incoming. Still no puts unless 605 rejects. So pretty much, if we look at the 15-minute chart, I was looking to enter calls, bet to the upside if we can clear 605, and I would have looked to enter puts and bet to the downside if we broke down 603. But I followed the price action. Whatever the price action gives me, I don't argue with it. I just, whatever it gives me, if it gives me a bullish setup, that's what I play. In this case, I mentioned to the group, my Discord members, 605 cleared, put in 606.5 and 608 in play. And the reason I wrote that is because it cleared on the 15-minute chart. Now, there's something I do want to mention to you, right? And I consider this one of the benefits of being in my Discord. You can see on this candle, this red candle, the 1045 candle right there, you can see it actually closed below my 605 level. So that would mean it broke down that level. But on my Discord, for evidence, after I mentioned that 605 cleared, I did not write again on the next post that 605 failed as support. I didn't mention that it failed as support. The reason was, it's trader sense. I've been trading for years, and I know a lot of my viewers, they probably feel the same thing sometimes, but I call it trader sense. Is when you look at the setups, you can tell if it's a quality setup or not, if it's a low quality setup or not. So when I saw it broke down 605, to me, it came across that it was a low quality setup. In other words, I didn't really trust the breakdown. I did not trust the price action break it down, so I didn't alert my group yet until I felt that the level was lost. And in hindsight, luckily enough, or skillfully, however way you want to look at it, you can see that I was right. It actually recaptured 605 and bounced for the rest of the day, coming a few cents shy of my 608 level. It smashed my 606.5 level, but didn't quite hit my 608 level. It was overall a pretty slow day. Unfortunately, it wasn't much volatility, but the overall direction was bullish. Now we go back to the daily chart, we can see that we had the breakaway gap and we tested this trend line as a support and bounce. We also cleared another fib extension level. So this is bullish price action behavior. Bullish price action behavior is when we break out resistant levels to the upside. And bearish price action behavior would be if we broke down the support levels to the downside. In this case, we see evidence of it breaking out to the upside and clearing also a previous pivot high. You can see that. This was the previous pivot high on June 11th. We broke that out. So the plan for tomorrow because it's one thing to just recap all this and talk about what you did and what's already happened, but we have to come up with a plan as well of, well, how are we going to deal with tomorrow's price action? We have to come up with a plan on, well, how are we going to deal with tomorrow's price action, right? So based on this context, we see that it cleared the previous pivot high of 605. Because of that, that's a breakout. That qualifies as a breakout. And as long as this breakout stays intact, which means the price of SPY must stay above 605. As long as it stays above 605, I'm bullish. And what does it mean when I'm bullish? It means that I'm expecting more upside. Exactly. That's the plan for tomorrow. If you're already holding calls or if you're thinking of holding calls, I would hold calls if SPY can stay above 605. Now, the next resistance level I'd like to see clear is 606.5, of course, and 608, which pretty much held today. But we'll know that more upsides incoming when it clears these resistant levels, at least on the 15-minute chart, right? That means a close above the level, at least on the 15-minute chart. Are you with me right now? Awesome. Now, I'm talking about the bullish scenario, but the thing about the stock market is it can go in either direction on any day. This market is manipulated by these people called the market makers. So as traders who follow the price action, we need to be ready for any case scenario. So we got the plan for the bull case scenario. Stay bullish above 605, and if 608 clears, we can expect more upside. But what if this market goes back to the downside? For me, it will come in the form of breaking down 605 and as well as the 603 level. We break down 605 to the downside, we cancel today's breakout. And if we break down 603, which is a fib level, we also cancel the breakaway gap of that trend line. So if the price breaks down 605 and 603, the behavior then becomes bearish. As people who follow the price action, the behavior of the price is what we need to pay attention the most. What is the price action doing? And if we know that the price action is behaving bearishly, what positions should we take? We should get short. We should buy puts. We should bet to the downside. Does that make sense? Awesome. So that's the plan for SPY. We're going to speed it up a little bit, okay? So you understand the concept here of the price action, right? So similar situation with QQQ. We had a bullish breakaway gap. You see the structure over here, this triangle pattern, breakaway gap. Great. So now QQQ is pretty much stuck between two of my Fibonacci levels. Can you see where they are? This is my 1.786 fib level. That's around 536.6. And then we have the 540.4 level. That's a 200% Fibonacci level. Can you see that now? So it's pretty much stuck between that range. So based on the context, that's the chop range to me. 536.6 up to 540.4. So if we are to expect more upside, 540.4 must clear, and I would have targets at 542 and 540. I like to play it level to level and then leave runners in case we get a bigger move. But if it fails to clear 540.4 and it breaks down support at 539 and 536.6, I would interpret that as bearish price action behavior. So when there's bearish price action behavior, what do? We enter puts. That's right. And my target would be 535, 533, and 531.7 for the gap fill. You see where the gap fill is right down there? And below that, we can expect a lot more downside. But as of right now, between 536.6 and 540.4, I'm assuming that's a chop range until proven otherwise. So if it is in the chop range, I would just scalp. Okay, scalp is when you just enter position. Maybe you play for $1.50 move. You get in and get out real quick. Some traders, they think that's worth doing, and some traders don't really find that worth their time. It depends on their personality. But if we're looking for a more bigger move, I need to see the break of that range. But overall, am I bullish or bearish on QQQ? I'm leaning bullish as of right now, as long as above 536.6, because that's a fib level, but it was also a previous pivot high from June 11, right around there. So as long as above, I'm favoring more upside on QQQ. But as a trader, a sheep style trader, I'm always willing to be wrong and switch if the price action tells me to switch. So for me, if it breaks down 536.6, I would be bearish. Moving on to Tesla. Now, Tesla kind of look like these two candles right here. You can see it kind of look like a dark cloud candle. What's a dark cloud candle? Well, here it is. An example right here of a dark cloud covered candle. It's like when the green candle, it's a big body green candle, followed by the second candle, which is a decent sized body red candle. Usually it closes below the 50% of the green candle, usually. Now, if we're looking at Tesla, it's not quite, just above it. So it's not quite a dark cloud covered candle, but it's showing a bit of resemblance here. So for me, I would look at the low of this red candle. which is at 340.4. If we're below it, I'm going to favor more downside, which is gapping below as of recording this. So if we're below 340.4, I have next support at 337, 335, 333. I have a fib level here at 331.6, and then you can see it's pretty close to the 20 daily moving average. That's that yellow line right there. If those levels fail, that is bearish price action behavior. And when it's bearish price action behavior, that's when we want to enter puts and bet to the downside. But for this to be canceled, for this to not resemble a dark cloud cover candle or even look bearish at all, it needs to get above the low of this red candle, which is at 340.4. So from here, I have resistance at 339 and 340.4. If the price action can break it out and get closes above it, at least on the 15-minute candle, I would then expect more upside. 346. I have a fib level at 347.5, and we can probably get all the way back up to 358 as my targets, my take profit targets. We have, this is NVDA. This is pretty volatile ticker symbol. Not too long ago, like around last year, they had to split this ticker symbol. It was so volatile. It's still pretty awesome to trade in my opinion. Today, I had a plan of 145. I actually covered this in my Discord as well. I wrote here, staying above the 145 level would recapture the trend line. For bullish follow through, clearing 146.2 would trigger longs. That means we bet to the upside. And I had a 148 and 150 target. And then I wrote here, if 145 failed to prove itself as support, the recapture will be unsuccessful. If 143.5 and 142 fail as support, I would be bearish. Does that make sense? So basically, I was watching to see what the price was going to do. If it's below 145 and break down 143.5 and so on, I would have been bearish. Instead, it stayed above 145 and cleared 146.2, and it got up to 147.96. You see, I had a 148 target, and the prices, it just came 4 cents shy of my target. The market makers, they like to play tricks on me and tease me. My wife does that to me sometimes too. But anyways, overall bullish above 146.2, and if we can clear 148, my next target would be about 150. So taking, if NVDA could take out today's high tomorrow, it would definitely be more upside. For me to switch back to being bearish, I need to see 146.2 and that 145 level break down, because both those levels cleared today and it triggered a nice bounce. So if the price action reverses and does the opposite tomorrow and break down those levels, I'm gonna be bearish. In favor, we drop to the downside. 143.5, 142, and so on. And below 142, that's you can see 142 it's a fib level, but it was a strong buying pressure. Buy zone multiple times. So if bears can break it down, that would be a massive win for them. Does that make sense? Here is coin. Look at this candle. That's amazing. You see this candle right here from June 24th. The low was 310, the high was 338.3. Isn't that incredible? And then the next day, it showed a bit more follow through, bouncing up a bit higher. I have a macro level fib level right around 349.5. It almost tested it before it got some selling pressure. So as of right now, based on where it's at, it's around 343.7. I do have support at 342 and 340. If those levels fail, there's a good chance this drops down to 338.5. 337, 335, and 333-ish area. And there's a good chance, I mean, you see how much it bounced? It makes sense. It would be healthy to consolidate and pull back a little bit. It would make sense because bounces like these, investors and maybe even traders, they're probably up a lot if they enter down here. Or even the market makers, they're probably up a lot. It would make sense for them to take some profit. And you'll know they'll be taking profit. It can break down those support levels that I mentioned. But if that is not the case, like I said, I do have resistant levels at 345, 347, 350. 349.6, but we can round it to 350. If it clears, definitely more upside is possible. Does that make sense? Here is the VIX. This is the last one. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me, okay? Thank you. I appreciate it. So I have support at 17. I mentioned in my previous video, I had support at 20.4 and 19. Yesterday, I actually broke down my 20.4 level, and then today it gapped down below 19 and pushed lower. So the next support I have is at 17. If 17 fails, 15 or 13 or lower would be in play. Now, this VIX is important because it measures volatility, and it usually goes in the opposite way of the SPY. So if it's going to drop to the downside, there's a good chance that SPY will pop to the upside. So losing 17 would be bearish on VIX, but usually bullish on SPY. So to be bullish on the VIX, I need to see 19 and 20.4 recapture. If it does, it's gonna be bullish again. Does everything make sense? Sounds good? You like trading? Yeah? Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you listening. This means a lot to me. I love you. Peace.